Gentlemen, let me start with a truth that many of us are afraid to confront. And that is that most of us, particularly the Gen Xs and the millennials, we were raised by emotionally absent, domineering, or weak fathers. And we are still bleeding from those wounds. These wounds don't show on our bodies, they show in our silence, our rage, our addictions, our fear of commitment or abandonment, our inability to lead, and our deep hunger for validation. These, gentlemen, are father wounds. So, what are father wounds? The father wound, we can define this as the psychological, emotional, and spiritual injury caused by a father's absence, whether it is physical, emotional, or moral. It is a void that is left when a boy looks to his father for identity, guidance, and strength, and he finds nothing but indifference, rage, or neglect. There's a psychologist called Roland Warren who describes the father wound as the ache for approval, validation, and love that never came. In his seminal work titled The Fatherless America, David Blackenhorn calls it the most harmful demographic trend of this generation, noting that children raised without strong paternal presence are more likely to experience poverty, addiction, violence, and emotional instability. From a red pill perspective, the father wound is more than just emotional neglect. It is a systemic emasculation of men. When boys are deprived of male leadership, they are conditioned to seek validation from women, authority, or material success instead of cultivating sovereignty. So I'm going to repeat that. So when boys are denied this male leadership, they are conditioned to seek validation from women, or they seek authority or material success instead of cultivating sovereignty, which is the masculine center that we call the mental point of origin. Okay? So this is basically what we are alluding to is wrong attachment, being attached to things, to power, to money, to material things, and to women, and so on. So there are various kinds of father wounds. Father wounds manifest themselves in several forms, and each of them shapes how a man perceives himself and how he relates to others. Okay? So I'm going to just give you a few of them. One of them is the absent father. This is a father who was physically gone, maybe through divorce, death, or abandonment. Okay? He left a vacuum. But this is important for guys who are married. The fact that you, for example, in a horrible marriage, but you're staying there for the kids, it does not make you a present father. Okay? You can be physically present, but your leadership is not felt, your masculinity is not felt. You are in an emasculated relationship. You're still an absent father. So the son grows up self-reliant, yet emotionally fractured, often mistrusting male authority. So, of course, when he mistrusts male authority, oftentimes it means that he trusts female authority. So that is a wound that is caused by the absent father. The second wound is the passive father. This is the father who is present but weak. He is indecisive, or he's overly accommodating. He's a yes man. So this breeds resentment in sons who subconsciously equate masculinity with weakness. And this can create morbid hate for himself or his own infrastructure as a man, and he ends up becoming a nice guy. So passive fathers can also create father wounds. The third kind of father wound is from the authoritarian father. So this is a father who rules by fear. And this creates sons who become rebels or cowards, depending on whether they internalize or reject this tyranny. So this is why sometimes you find like the children of pastors, they become the biggest drunkards, drug dealers, and rebellious kids. So sometimes this is just out of rebellion from the authoritarian fathers. Then you have the narcissistic father. This is the father who makes everything about himself. And the sons grow up performing for approval. Okay? They're forever trying to earn their worth. That is the wound that is caused by the narcissistic father. The children grow up feeling they are inadequate, and they are forever trying to earn their father's approval. Most of the times, of course, they also end up being people pleasers. They want to be nice people because they are looking for approval. And then there's a critical father. This is a father who can never be pleased. Okay? His sons become perfectionists or underachievers, crippled by the voice of constant disapproval. So those are some of the father wounds, and John Elridge captures the essence of this wound in Wild at Heart, where he writes that every boy in his heart is asking one question: do I have what it takes? And every father must answer this question. When that question goes unanswered, the boy becomes a man forever uncertain, forever seeking permission to become masculine. Okay? So, what causes father wounds? Modern society has conspired against fatherhood. So, we have feminist education, divorce culture, and the glorification of the single mother narrative. All these have eroded the masculine archetype. And Warren Farrell, in The Boy Crisis, identifies father absence as the single biggest predictor of mental illness, drug abuse, suicide, and also violence among young men. Economic systems also play a role. Men have been reduced to providers, not protectors or mentors. They spend their best years at work, not at home, leaving sons to be shaped by the media, peers, or feminized institutions. Robert Bly laments in his book Iron John that we are the sons of half-grown men. How do the father wounds accept sons and fatherhood? So the effects of father wounds ripple across generations. A fatherless boy grows into a wounded man, and a wounded man often becomes a dysfunctional father. Psychologically, father wounds create identity confusion. Sons who never feel enough. They oscillate between aggression and passivity, between dominance and appeasement, and many of them developed what the therapist Dr. Glover calls the nice guy syndrome. In No More Mr. Nice Guy. So these are men who seek approval rather than respect, sex rather than purpose, and comfort rather than conquest. Sociologically, the data is chilling. And according to the US Census Bureau, children from fatherless homes are 4 times more likely to live in poverty, 7 times more likely to become teen parents, 2 times more likely to drop out of school, and 5 times more likely to commit suicide. And from a red pill perspective, these men become plugged in. These are men without a masculine blueprint. They are men who let women, bosses, or ideologies define them. Okay? They lack a masculine blueprint. Gentlemen, if you're enjoying this video, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share it. When you subscribe, you'll always be notified when I drop new content. Also, when you like and share, you help this channel to grow, and more importantly, you help other men to discover the tools that they need to level up. So remember, when one man rises, we all rise. Now let's get back to the video. How can men heal from father wounds? So healing from a father wound is not about resentment. It's about integration. Maybe one day I'll make a video about integration. It is a very loaded term. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is a reclamation of power. So the first thing you have to do when you want to heal from a father wound is you must confront the pain. Robert Glover advises that what we do not own controls us. And this is the idea, or I think it originates from Carl Jung, who said that if you don't identify what is in your subconscious, it is going to control you. Men must stop repressing pain with work, sex, or distractions. The wound must be faced, not avoided or erased. Okay? Healing is not about erasure, it's about integration. The second thing men must do is grieve the loss. Acknowledge that your father may never become the man you needed. That grief, honest and raw, is a doorway to freedom. It's what my friend Dr. Tom Kuna calls radical acceptance. So acknowledge that that is who your father was, accept it, and that is going to be your doorway to freedom. The third thing you need to do is to seek male mentorship. Rites of passage where how ancient men healed and grew are no longer there. As initiated men, we are called to rebuild that structure. In the way of men, Jack Donovan reminds us that masculinity is earned through strength, courage, mastery, and honor. So you need to seek male mentorship and have rites of passage, okay, that allow men to do difficult things and acquire and learn about honor, courage, and mastery. The fourth thing you must do is to forgive. Forgive but don't excuse. Forgiveness is releasing the grip your father has on your identity. It is saying, you may have failed me, but I will not fail myself. The fifth thing you must do is to rebuild the chain. So healing means becoming the father you never had. For your sons, for your brothers, and the men that you lead. As Jordan Peterson tells us in the 12 Rules for Life, a father's love is not a mere luxury. It is a foundation of order itself. So what's my call to you, men, to you gentlemen? The father wound is not your fault. If you're suffering from any father wound, you must first learn that it's not your fault. But it's healing that is your responsibility. It's not your fault, but its healing is your responsibility. The future of masculinity depends on men who rise above their pain and restore the archetype of the father as a protector, as a provider, and as a teacher. If your father failed you, forgive him, but do not repeat his weakness. Become the man that your son will one day thank, not resent. Because the truth is this, gentlemen, a healed man heals generations. A wounded man wounds them. So think about that. Share your experiences about your experience with your father, what your thoughts are about this subject of father wounds. Share them in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next one.